Well, as y'all been asking me to do, I'm here to make a video showing my setup and talk about the drift camera. And I figured I'd do it right here in front of this pile of trash. And I'm doing it with my iPhone because I don't really have a lot of cameras. I'm not a big camera person, you know. I try to do a little bit of research before I get into everything and make sure I'm spending my money well. I try to make myself like a semi sort of expert, you know. I mean, my bike's sort of a good example of that, of spending a little bit of money and getting the best value. And I knew I wanted to get into motovlogging, and after a while I decided this would be the best camera to get. The Drift. For many reasons. I hope this sun, am I blocking it? Yeah, it's better like that. See, I'm not a camera person, I don't know these things. What am I doing? What is this? I don't have any talking points. I'm just gonna wing it. The hell with it. The Drift camera, I won't go sit there and tell you how all the menus work and stuff. In fact, it's so easy to use. I've never looked at a menu. I just used it. Like, you know, you just turn the thing on and go through the menus. It's so simple to use. Comes with a remote, which I have mounted up here, which I killed mine. I figured out what I did. The way I had it zip tied forever, I was holding one of the buttons down, and it's my own fault. But, I mean, I don't know if you can see the menus here with the sun, and this camera's probably not very good, but just turn it back off. Flies landing on me. You know, like right here, this is the full setup with the silicone cover on the back and everything too, because you have to run the door open when you run the microphone on here, and it's sitting on. This is just an adhesive mount that attaches it to the helmet. I use the adhesive over the Velcro just because I guess I trust this a little bit more. But I mean, you know, look, like it's beef, man. It ain't coming off. It gives you this mount right here that it comes with, as well as a few others. Let me see if I can kind of like prop this up against me. Alright, I'm wearing an Angry Bird shirt because I'm cool. Pretty much you got like this silicone cover on the back, and this is like, it just pops on there, but it stays on really good. Like, I rode a whole track day with this thing on, and it didn't go anywhere, you know, like, I didn't even ever touch it. It's just super beef. And what it does is, because when you run the mic, which runs in the back here, you have to run the door open, which is sort of a flaw, I think, on it. I think it would have been better if they made it where it wasn't like that. And this is the size of it with it shut. It's a little hard to pinch down on there. There it goes. What you want it to be. It's fairly water resistant from what I understand with that on there. Just a few simple buttons. Like I said, it's super easy to use. 720p, 1080p. In the 1080p, you've got 25 and 30 frames per second. The 720 I use more. I rock it in like 50 frames per second most of the time, but it goes all the way up to 60 and down to, I think, 30 and some other ranges in there. And it's, I don't know, the reason I use the 720 more is you get a more wide angle on it. I think it's like, I can't remember how wide they said it is, but you get a lot more angle with the 720 versus the 1080. And on my computer, I barely notice the difference. I don't have a high quality computer, but I do run 1080 every now and then too. It doesn't really seem to affect either way. I put a 32 gigabyte whatever SD card in the back here, and I never run it out. I will say the battery life, it's not horrible, but it could be a little bit better. The battery just pops right out the back. It's, you know, like, just whip this thing out here. That's your battery. You can actually get like a bigger battery for it. Like, I think one of these is like 15-16 bucks, and you can get like a bigger battery. Like, you pop this little like plastic tray out of the bottom here, you get a bigger one. And that's only like, I think, $5-6 more than the standard one. So if I buy a second battery, it's going to be that battery. Also, you know, the lens on the front turns. I have it cocked just slightly to the side because as it sits on my helmet, it rounds off to the side. But that thing will turn, you know, like all over the place. I think 170 degrees, which is where it gets its name from. In comparison to something like the GoPro, this is way easier to use. I've never owned a GoPro, but I've used many of them, and you know, that's what this thing's gonna win on for sure. And it's just super simplistic to use. You have a menu. This is a speaker up here. I'm trying to keep this camera straight. I'm not a cameraman. And the menu, you just scroll through it. You have digital, you know, screen here. You can play back everything on it. Digital, I guess LCD, whatever. I don't know. And you know, it's cool, especially like if you're gonna ride around. You want to see if your setup's set up correctly. You want to make sure you're capturing what you want to capture. With the Drift, you know, you can just sit right there and figure it out. With like the GoPro or the what's the other one called? The Con something? Shit. great video. You know what it is. I don't have to tell you guys. With that one, you know, it's a little bit more difficult. You need to go home too, and you need to see, like, okay, did I capture it right? Did I have it set up correctly? With this, I can figure out right here on the fly. Also, let me pop it off this thing real fast. If you're wondering too about that mount, that's what it looks like. This is what the back piece looks like on there. This thing, when it clips in there, I was nervous about this when I ordered it. I was like, man, I think this thing's going to be crap. It's not going to be great. When it clips in here and you hear that snap, dude, that thing is not moving. I'm actually really impressed by that, and it's been super durable. Also on that back, if you take that piece off, it's got like a universal whatever, like threads that would fit any camera, I guess. So that's kind of cool. They put that on the back. I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard though to compare this to a GoPro, because for the price range, I paid $160 just for this camera, and that would compare to the price of like a GoPro Hero. But this does so much more than a GoPro Hero. You almost have to compare for the features to this, like a GoPro Hero 2, because now they added a remote to it and external mic. But when you compare it to the GoPro 2, then you're talking about like a $300-something camera, you know, something that's double the price of this one. So it's kind of weird, you know. It's like, this is going to, in my opinion, this still does a lot more than the Hero 2. There are going to be some advantages, like a GoPro has got that great durable case. Now this is rubberized. This is pretty beef, and I know if you crack this lens, you can send this back to them. You have to pay something. They'll put a new lens on it. They do have a new version of this. It's much shorter and has like Allen bolts all around here, and you can pull the lens off yourself and put a new one on. And yeah, it's all right though. You know, like, this is water resistant as it sits right now with that back cover open. If it was raining, I really wouldn't worry about it. If it was like heavy downpouring, then it's not 100%. It's more of a dust cover than an actual water cover. When you get the camera, it comes with this mount. It comes with a few other little things. You can look all that up. You know, it's, in comparison to like a GoPro, I still think this thing kind of rules. And it's super light. You know, like, this is it compared to the size of my hand, you know, if you were wondering. And it weighs next to nothing. It's pretty easy to mount. The biggest thing when you're mounting it, because it is all adjustable, you can turn this, you can turn this, but you can't adjust the angle it sits on the helmet, so you need to make sure you get that just right. And if you did stick it wrong, it's not the end of the world. Just use a hairdryer. You can probably, you know, undo the glue and get it with no goo gone, just get it straight off, and then just get like a new piece. You can go to like Home Depot or a hardware store and get like a piece of just, you know, 3mm adhesive like this. And yeah, I think if you're into moto vlogging, this is probably one of the easiest setups though to use. It's, you know, it's the mic in there. I got the mic up inside by the ear in my helmet, and it, you know, it works good enough. I don't know. It's just it's a pretty simple, really easy to use setup, in my opinion. So for the money and what you get for it, I'd say this is the win for me. That's why I picked the Drift HD. And that's the end of this. Peace.